changes that we're working on the personnel policy, so that is in progress right now. And I'll be reviewing it on my end, and then I'm going to do another workshop with her again on March 5th. Then it will go before the department heads for input and attorney and board. So a few more steps along the way, but I've got it started at least. It's quite a large document, a large policy, a lot of changes. So another policy that has come up is I spoke with the Maine DEP today about getting some guidance on the management of lake levels at the dam. So we'll probably be working on putting together some sort of either policy or guideline for that process. I know the fire department study was brought up, I believe, at the last meeting. I met with the fire chief on a couple of different items the other day. We went down the list and identified a few things that has been accomplished. So I'll be working on updating that spreadsheet so that it reflects a few of the things that just hadn't gotten updated on it.
So would we expect next meeting to
give you an updated status of where we're at?
Okay.
Yep. Phone systems, so the finance director and I have been working with Fidium to consolidate our phones and internet to fiber optic. That would also connect the town office, fire station, and transfer station. Would not connect public works because there isn't fiber. Fidium doesn't have fiber up where public works is. They were able to come pretty close to matching the current costs of what we're paying for phone and internet. I met with Daryl on the 28th, and we discussed grants. One of the ones that we're looking at going for next is the 2026 Maine Infrastructure Adaptation Fund, which provides grants up to $3 million for stream crossings and stormwater drainage. So the one in particular I have in mind is Summit Hill Road, but I'm sure that there's other stream crossings and drainage issues that we can find to apply for. That's opening up, I believe, in March. We got an additional $100,000 from the Lakes Environmental Association to go towards the Carsley Brook and Eads Falls Brook crossings. So
nice.
A little bit less than the town needs to come up with. So we got a total of $500,000 in grants, which will cover over half, definitely over half, yeah. The budget process has been progressing. We still have left parks, recreation, public works, transfer station, capital expenditure, and revenue. Upcoming budget meetings are scheduled for February 23rd, March 2nd, and March 16th.
Good. Just a quick question on terms of how's it going? Sort of new, this is a new year, it's a new budget process for us, and obviously for you, new to the town. So hopefully it's progressing without too many bumps along the way.
It seems pretty smooth.
I don't know that we've finalized the end game here when the budget review is over. The budget committee forms their recommendations. And then what form that will come to the select board. Probably a workshop scheduled at the end of the review process. Okay. Good. No. Any questions for John? His report. Next agenda item, departmental reports.
I reached out to the Regional Communications Center and they sent me the wrong spreadsheet for call data, so I don't have one for law enforcement this month. I emailed back and haven't heard on getting a corrected one. I've noticed that change to the Public Works department report. Looks like some additional information as a result of the use of analytics. Is that?
So the chart on the bottom and the other January winter events is actually, Jack and I made a winter events sheet that the boys fill out every time they go out and have to do anything storm related, and then I enter it onto a spreadsheet to keep track of fuel usage, mileage, salt buckets per yard, sand per yard, and hours.
Yeah, and this is something that'll be good help with budgeting too.
Yes, that's awesome.
A lot of winter events, 24 so far as of February 3rd, so hopefully maybe that's it. Maybe
No.
the rest of the winter will be
No.
a little easier.
I want more.
We want more.
John, will the departmental reports go out on the website?
We don't currently.
Maybe think about having a folder out there for the part, because I think there's some new valuable information now that we're being able to capture that we never had before, which would be good to share.
Yeah, it'd be nice, like recreation department, looks like there's some new things going on between adult basketball. I know that there's a March Madness event coming up, so it'd be nice for people to be able to see that as well, so.
Good. Any questions for John on any of this?
Okay.
I think it's a good trend to see that we're getting more and more granular data that we're able to hopefully ask intelligent questions in the future. More intelligent questions in the future. So you'll looking at Public Works, we'll have a historical record.
Yeah, so I made the sheets end of November, so November doesn't really have anything, but they fill them out for everything.
Okay, good. And I think you're trying to capture data related to public safety. So we may be able to get into a sort of a standard format for looking historically over what happens for 6 months or a year. Each department will have slightly different data, but certainly the idea is we'll be able to see trends in all of them. Good, thanks. Thank you. Get back to my agenda page. The next item is public participation. If any of the public has any questions for the board or the town manager.
Hi there. My name is Tara Reynolds. Tara Reynolds, 172 Ridgeview Road in Harrison. And I'm here tonight to just raise the issue that I've been reading about and following regarding the $2.7 million increase in county taxes. And I want to start out by just thanking our town manager and the folks who put together our newsletter, because I first found out about this because of the letter that was written by the town manager. And history has been with me that too often I'm opening a tax bill and not understanding why things have increased to the degree that they have. But certainly this large increase has been in the press recently. And I just say that for a town under 2,500 residents, that this proposed increase could translate into something like 15%. I've seen different numbers, but somewhere in the magnitude of 15% increase in county taxes. And this is on the heels of the 18% increase we had last year. So when I think about that, the level of the compounding is really hard for small towns like us to absorb. And while I understand, I think we all do, that the jail has legal obligations and costs, but the current structure means that when the costs rise or when a federal reimbursement is lost, the financial impact is passed directly to the municipalities, in this case, to small towns like Harrison. And Harrison and the other small towns do not control the jail intake process. They don't control the pre-trial detention policies, and they don't control the federal contracts. but we're expected to absorb the resulting volatility. The allocation of financial risks, such as this, is inequitable, and it's increasingly unsustainable for small towns like us. So I have a question to this group. I want to understand what specific mechanisms are in place to protect small towns such as ours from disproportionate impacts when things like jail costs spike or revenue sources decline. And then also just to ask what alternatives are being considered before something that sounds like it's a proposal right now, before it's finalized. So get that we need to meet our financial obligations, but I really think that at this point, we should be looking toward a funding structure that would be fair and sustainable.
Thank you. I think you had a question for us, but I'm not sure we have an answer for you. There is a county budget process going on, and we are represented by a county commissioner. I think who would typically be the one we would voice concerns to. I think one aspect of your question, which falls within perhaps the domain of the board, would be to think in terms of our budget process, to think about ways to have contingencies when we're faced with assessments that might be considered excessive, so that the full brunt of those doesn't fall on the taxpayer.
Thanks, Phil. My question was around the structure that's in place. And, I appreciate I had neighbors who helped to guide me toward resources like Tyler, I may have their name wrong, but I did connect with him. I attended the budget or the financial committee meeting last month. My concern is that, my takeaway was that this will be rubber stamped. And so while everybody's doing their due diligence, much like we're doing in our town, this is nothing to do with the town of Harrison, right? I mean, it is well beyond the 2,400 people who live here. And so I'm asking, whether there are mechanisms that we can undertake to look at this to ensure that it's, in the future, something is done in a more equitable and sustainable fashion. So.
Any comments?
We don't, I don't think we know, but I took it away to see what we could find. Do we have any recourse that we can say, no, we do not accept? Do we know? Can we say no?
The county commissioners, they need to hear it. That's because they're the ones that are going through a budget process.
That actually make the vote, the final vote.
Yeah, so, that they need to,
So we could
they're the ones that need to hear it.
We could certainly publish, contact information in the newsletter, and the board could, perhaps at the next meeting, decide if they want to agree on formulating a letter criticizing, or maybe that's not the right word, but certainly expressing our concern about the budgeting process. I do agree with you, let me just finish, I do agree with you that their budget meeting was not very impressive in terms of scrutinizing things. And that's one of the things we could certainly encourage them to improve on.
My thought was, after I listened to that meeting, is that, there's nothing, we're going to pass this on. We're not going to have other big expenses on our budget this year. But meanwhile, what did that do to our town? And the work that y'all are doing to keep our tax rate in check. To me, this just seems so out of our league that it just feels like there should be a different mechanism for passing on that cost.
I think it's important, so at least I allowed you to exceed our 3-minute timeline. And I think you've given us a couple of things to think about, which we will probably promptly put on John's to-do list.
Yeah.
John said something about Bridget. I just happened to meet with the Bridget town manager today, and that came up. He's
So,
very
thank
upset
you.
about the same thing.
Next.
Rick Sykes, 25 Front Street. Agree 100% with the previous speaker. Tried to call Tom, was not able to get in touch with him. Let's start by asking him to come right here. I think that's an appropriate step. I also think, and I've been on the board in town for quite a while, I've never heard a county commissioner that represent us come to speak to the board, and I think that's a good place to start. I also think it's not an inappropriate thing to ask your school board members to come and give us a report at some point.
Which I think we have.
Yeah.
But we'll put that request to have our representative commissioner appear as well. Any other topics, questions?
I did hear back from the school board members, and they said they are willing to attend.
Okay.
So maybe they're coming on the 26th.
Okay.
Next one.
We'll look at the agenda and try and make sure we can fit them in with the management. Thank you, public. I think we want to encourage participation, so we'll try and be sure we can come up with some actionable results from this, from the questions. Moving along to the next item, which we have moved up, is R.M. Davis is here to inform the board, which probably doesn't have too much knowledge as to the role that you fill.
So we've been managing the scholarship fund since 1994, and I'm the second representative to come and speak to the board. Brian Noyes has been doing it for the past 20 plus years, actually almost 30 years now. And just gonna give a quick story about what we're seeing in the marketplace and the environment we're in. A lot of what we're going through and the volatility we're going through right now starts from actually the relief we received from COVID. COVID put a lot of stimulus back into the market, and we spent through that stimulus, and that's what caused some market volatility in 2022. Since then, what we've been trying to do, all that stimulus pushed inflation to a rather high number of around 9% in 2022. We've been trying to fight that inflation number. One of the metrics we've been using is by raising interest rates from the Fed funds rates. And that's what we've started to see. So 2023 and 2024 are really positive years in the market, strong years in the market. We combated inflation. We started to lower interest rates. We got to a point at the beginning of last year where we elected a new president whose first initiative was really tariff policy. In his tariffs, he raised global tariffs from 2% to 37% initially, which caused the market to drop about 20% in April of last year. Since those April lows, we've actually recovered 50% of market return through January 31st of this year. So what has happened since then is the Fed has come out and started to lower interest rates from a 5% clip to down, they're trying to get it to around 3.5%. And inflation has started to streamline down and trend downward as well. Doesn't mean the cost of goods aren't going up, they're just not going up as a high of level as they have been in the past. So what we've started to see is, as the policy came out with interest rates and inflation and tariff policy numbers now sitting around 15%. So what we're seeing is just a little bit more certainty from those April numbers to where we are today. The increased volatility that we're seeing today is really driven by two things. One is just the uncertainty of where policy is headed in the next couple of months, coupled with a lot of AI speculation. AI speculation right now is a very hot topic in the marketplace. We still are fundamental believers in AI and what it can do in the future when it comes to earnings and growth power, but it's going to lead to some near-term volatility. Volatility isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can have swings of volatility downwards and upwards. But where we stand in today's economy, we think the fundamentals of the economy through short-term volatility swings will prevail. Starting to see, hopefully this year, low to single high digit returns in the equity market. So with all that being said, we don't want to change anything going on with the scholarship fund and the asset allocation we have. Just to run through some numbers, last year we returned 13.6%. I'll point you to page 14 of tab 1. Phil, I think if you flip to tab 1 and then page 14. This just kind of goes through historical performance numbers, but I'm just going to read through that blue line. So you all started with RM Davis on October 31st of 1994, and this is run through January 31st of 2026. The initial value was $360,000. The net additions and withdrawals, we've taken out $810,000 plus from the scholarship fund. Market value today sits around $971,000. Investment return of $1.4 million since the time you've been with us, for an annualized return of about 7.75 or 7.78%. For a portfolio like this, that's what we're trying to earmark for the next foreseeable future. Anywhere between 6 and 8% with the asset allocation that you all have is what we're trying to track. Any questions?
Served us well for
Yep.
a long time.
Yeah, I hope to continue that as well.
So this, just for the board members, this shows up in our audit report every year, separately, and I think always seems to track well as it shows here.
Yeah, I think, we've had some really strong market performance 6 out of the last 7 years. So we might start to see some equity growth taper downwards a little bit, just to kind of revert back to that mean. I don't think we're thinking of a recession on the horizon with a large drawdown like we saw in 2008, but you could see some more increased volatility over the next couple of months to years.
And just for the board, could you speak to how the withdrawals are determined?
I think it's, I believe you guys are running about 3% of the fund value.
That's a decision
The board, the finance committee has made.
that makes
Yep.
on an annual basis.
On an annual basis, that's correct. Yep.
So I thought it was,
For the last year, 12/31/2024, 12/31/2025, we gave away $38,217 in scholarships. Is that correct?
well, I think that's a question for the board.
Yep. That includes the fee that you've paid as well.
Oh.
So it's probably a little bit less than that, but that number shows the fee being withdrawn as well.
Gotcha. Give everybody a moment to look at the material.
Yes, of course. I think another good page, just for if you want to look at target last year, just in general, is page 16. That gives a snapshot of the return figure from last year, 13.6%, some rather strong performance. Equity market return just shy of 16%. So if you just look at the underlying equities within the portfolio, it's about 16%.
Last year was 13.6 overall.
Correct. And remember, your asset allocation target that we've set, I think we've had it for a long time, it's 70-30, so 70% equities and 30% fixed income. And that 30% fixed income is really to solidify the cash flow needs from the scholarship fund.
While we're pausing a minute, maybe just ask if there's any questions from the public while we have you here.
Yeah, of course.
But I think certainly the opinion would be that the money's well managed and it provides a good return back to the town.
That's what we strive for.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I believe that's, correct me if I'm accurate, that came from retired Coast Guard Commander Ernest Murray, who lived here a long time, member of the fire department, who left that money to start a scholarship fund.
Which is where the original number we started with, that is,
370,000.
Yep. Thank you for that. Okay. No more questions? Thank you very much.
Of course.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you all.
Thank you.
Good job, well done.
Thank you very much.
Moving to the consent agenda, We have the approval of warrants, which I think are all signed, and the approval of the minutes of the January 22nd, 2026 meeting. So we just have those two items. Are there any questions on the consent agenda item? I'll entertain a motion to approve them. Sorry? Oh, so we have a bill to sign. Exclusive of that.
I make a motion that we approve that consent agenda as read.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? 5-0, approved. Old business facility use policy. I think we've talked about this in the past. John, do you want to update us on the facility use policy? I think we had discussion and changes that we had talked about at the last meeting.
Yep, I updated the changes from the last meeting that included mentioning the drug-free zones, the general rules. There was some wording, I think, there's some language changes to the use of community rooms that was requested. Also, capacity, each room has posted maximum capacity is set by the fire marshal's office, and compliance is required, so I didn't put the specific numbers. I changed it so that it's just gazebo, as in the gazebo at Crystal Lake as opposed to gazebos, since we're not going to be renting them out right at the other one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some grammatical updates.
We can see if the board has any questions for you. I think those are all, if not all of the items we talked about.
Page 4. This is very picky, but rules is spelled incorrectly.
I thought I fixed that.
It did.
Both of them fixed it.
I also had a question on page 4. Letter A and letter F under number 9, public beaches. I feel like A is, maybe should be removed. It's kind of redundant to F, and I think F is more specific to the actual recreation use and closure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think if you removed A completely, F would cover that recreation use.
Does the board understand that restriction on the use of the beach?
When recreation is using the beach, they put some signs up and they rope off half the beach area and separate the public from the camp kids. It's been going on for a while.
There's a sign up there.
And one of the docks, yeah, the H dock is for the recreation swimmers, not for the public use during certain hours.
So I believe last year we had one complaint about that.
We did. We had a complaint because during that, the person's granddaughter or daughter went onto the dock, but it was explained that they have to do that for safety and insurance purposes because they went on the camp at that time.
So, just so the board is aware, that there is that restriction that occurs in the summer during the swim program.
I believe there's signs posted there, marked, when it's
Yes.
marked off too.
Other than that,
The only other comment I was gonna make is maybe including under liability that if a nonprofit is using town property, that they should show proof of insurance in general. I know we have it called out for the
Bottle collection.
bottle collection, but I think any events and stuff like that.
Would that be covered under a permit? Will they,
It should be, but if you're looking at town usage, you just may want to have it called out there that if they're using it for an event, they will need to, as part of the permit process, have it there.
So you're saying under general rules?
Under there or under the liability part, if nonprofits are using it, I don't know where it falls best, but.
Can you suggest some wording? And then we'll figure out if the board wants to put it in one of these locations.
That if a nonprofit is to use town property, that proof of insurance may be required through the permitting process.
So I would suggest we add H to general rules.
Okay.
If the nonprofit is to use town property,
Through the permitting process may be required to show proof of insurance.
It's almost like the statement under 11A could just be put as a general rule.
Yeah. That's true.
Right?
Yep.
so move that to general rules?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other suggested changes?
No, I think it looks good.
Well, my sense would be with the understanding that we'll move 11A to make it 5H under general rules. Is that satisfactory?
And what Nate suggested is we don't
Yeah.
need 9A.
Yeah, we'll move 9A.
And then just the letter rules,
Oh, yeah,
And
we
9.
spell.
and then
Spelling.
just spelling, all stuff.
So,
Yeah.
what's the consensus of the board? Are they prepared to approve with the modifications that have been discussed?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna read all the modifications, but we have the, I think, the 3 modifications.
Do you need a motion?
So we would have a motion to approve the town manager's recommendation with modifications discussed.
I'll finalize one for the next meeting.
Well, we can just approve it now.
Well,
No, we have to sign it.
it's up to the board. No, but we can sign it afterwards when we fix it. It's up, whatever the board would like to do. I'd like to move things along if we can.
I make a motion. I make a motion to accept the Town of Harrison Town Facilities and Properties Use Policy with the changes, the 3 changes, general rules. Actually, move 11A to general rules H. Change the correct spelling of rules under 9 public beaches. And then
Remove 9A.
remove 9A.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? Thank you, Mike. So you'll make the adjustments, and then the policy will be available for us to sign. We'll tick that one off our policy list. Next item is the business registration policy. And if I recall correctly, the last meeting, we just decided to break this into a general purpose policy separate from the list of all of the approvals required. So do you want to take it from there and explain?
Yep, Kristen, do you have any input on it at all? I know I had Kristen look it over just to make sure that, because a lot of this revolves around the clerk's office, so.
I thought it looked good.
So we have this separate from, also, just for clarification, again, I know that the question was asked about businesses having to register. And it's not all businesses technically, because like an LLC goes right through to the state. So this is just DBAs. It's really what this, right? DBAs and.
So the overview, so we're now down to 3 pages. The overview explains who it applies to, which I think is your point. And then the next paragraph explains the process that has to be followed. Question?
Yeah, the statement that John just made, that LLCs are not required to register, I think it would be important to have that statement in the policy. The way this is written, it says all businesses operating as a sole proprietor or partnership must register their businesses.
Sole
So,
proprietor of the DBA.
it's just confusing. Somebody may not.
So you're just suggesting we clarify this doesn't apply?
Well, the next paragraph says corporations are not required.
Cooperation, but, the LLC is not mentioned at all in the policy.
LLC is a limited liability corporation.
But I think for your purposes, you'd just like to see that common terminology
Ah,
reflected in here.
So then, under corporations, do LLC and all other corporations then? Or,
So, John, I think we're just saying on the second line in the overview where it just says corporations, there's a desire to have something
if you could put something like.
such as LLCs, or for example, LLCs.
The second line under overview?
Second
paragraph.
Second paragraph, okay, cool. So, all
So
right,
corporations such as LLCs,
such as
for
okay,
example.
yes.
I mean, there's other types of corporations as well.
Right, but I think that's the one you particularly want to be sure people see.
Well,
Such
most
as-
small
such as
businesses are
LLCs, okay. Anything else?
That's all I can see.
So, and John, just to be clear, the list of all of the, how many pages do we have a list of?
Lot.
How will that be published?
What do you mean? To the
So I
public?
think before we tried to combine these couple pages explaining the whys and how it applies, or how the process works, then attach page after page of specifics. Is that something we simply need to have available or published on the website?
it says a list of businesses can be found in section 3, so it sounds like there only is section 3 to
Well,
this.
section 3, I think, is what we removed, so.
Okay, so I gotta take that out then.
Ah,
Right, and the idea would be, where would we make that available to people?
How have we done it in the past? We just had that guide in the clerk's office for when people come in to register a business.
So available in the clerk's office.
Yeah.
Did you have a question?
Yes, so we're gonna list the businesses?
No, that's the
No,
businesses that are subjected to state licensing.
So the last time, if you recall, we had 3 or 4 or 5 pages.
State statutes.
And we decided not to include that in the policy. The clerk's office has that information as to where people need to apply, when and where they need to apply for licenses.
I have it.
You have it. So it's available. You can certainly just let people know it's available if they have a question as to what the licensing authority is for whatever they're involved with.
So I put a list of businesses, a list of,
Right, so just replace
something to
that.
the effect of a list of licensing,
Yeah.
to do with licensing
Authorities.
process. Can be found in the clerk's office.
Is it state licensing? So you could say state licensing requirements?
State licensing requirements, okay.
It's also online. I mean, you could say the clerk's office or online, right?
Yeah, I can include the link in the policy here.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the section 1, planning and code enforcement review. What does that apply to? What types of businesses?
I can say that if somebody calls the clerk's office, I always say, yes, you're gonna file your $10 DBA with us, but first, I want you to go speak with Jim in the code office to make sure there's no other permitting, planning board, anything that they have to go through. So it always goes to him first, really,
So
and
he,
then to me.
so he must look up to see if there's any code requirements for,
Yeah.
like if somebody wanted to start a daycare business.
So is it,
Or,
Right.
this section 1 mostly applies to the DBAs or only to the DBAs?
I don't have it in front of me.
No, it can apply to any business in town. So how do we know if it's an LLC or not? They're gonna have to come before basically you catch those, if someone's doing business in town and they didn't come for a permit.
well, so the LLC goes to the state, so the state would make sure that there's,
Well, it's
Right.
basically the only thing that usually comes before planning board would be if I wanted to use my property, say I'm gonna do a sawmill or I'm going to do a junkyard, well, that would come before, but also if you go before planning board first. Things like that. If you're just, like you or I as a contractor, and I'm not using any of my property for anything, I don't have to come before the board. It's basically, if you're using your property, like if you're selling goods.
So,
Parking.
Parking.
Yeah. I mean,
So the question is for step 1 or section 1, planning and code enforcement review. It maybe should have a sentence explaining that this applies to any business that has physical requirements. That's basically
That's
they would.
kind of what
Well,
this
that's-
process says. It kind of, yeah, the process kind of is outlined here in this,
Yep.
and then these are the steps.
So the sentence, which says, Town of Harrison conducts a review to ensure that the zoning ordinance allows for a business to be operated from the property in question. Once this review is completed and approved by code enforcement officer and planning board, a DBA may be filed with the town's clerk. I think that's what Kristen just said. That,
Yeah.
So, and
Basically, if I'm gonna call code, I'm gonna look at this and say, okay, I wanna run a junkyard. I gotta call code first to find out what I need to do.
And so section 1 is explaining the planning and code enforcement review topics, I think.
it says in here, so the codes and planning department will review the submission and may contact you for further. They may not, because it may not be anything that requires the code enforcement to get involved in. Is that right? I mean, there's, you know, childcare business versus,
Or hair salon, or sawmill, or if you're entertaining customers on your property or selling items from your property, yes, you may need planning board review.
but depending upon what the business is, you may not, so.
Right, so the process describes that. I think,
Yes.
correct me if I misunderstand, I think what we're just saying is the planning and code review, really those are just the areas, the questions, the planning and, someone would need to be able to answer when they go to planning and code review. So it's more of a, I mean, you could make a checklist, or you could say question, we could just add a sentence under that says, below are questions that you should be prepared to answer, or something of that nature. So section 1 is the process describes the steps. Section number 1 provides the kind of information the planning and code enforcement review requires. And then section 2 provides the guidelines about filing the DBA with the clerk's office. So I think the question is, does it need a little finer explanation on the planning and code enforcement review section?
I don't think so. I think it states exactly what it needs, what you need to do. If you're gonna file a DBA, you can either read this and call code, or you can come in and see the town clerk, and they can tell you that you need to go over to code and see if you need any additional licensing, and then
So,
I
did you have a...
thought the goal of this policy was to encourage businesses in town to register with the town, so that there would be a database of licensed businesses that could be referenced by the community. So, you know, if that's the case,
Yep.
there's a lot of LLCs. LLCs may want to register their business with the town.
So there's, right, so 2 steps. I think there's 2 distinct things. One is the requirement for the registration for anyone doing business. And if they have a physical presence, explaining the code enforcement review. I think what you're saying is the second purpose, which we didn't spell out as clearly, which would be to record all businesses.
I mean, I just thought that was the initial purpose, was to,
So a full business registry, not just those required to be licensed through this process.
am I mistaken, Wendy, that the purpose of this was to promote businesses to register? Or,
Not really, that's kind of how it
That's
came up.
advertising, I think.
For advertising, is that what you mean? 'Cause
I don't,
like
I'll-
LLCs, they don't have to, so we can't force them.
yeah, I don't know how we could force an LLC to register if they're
So-
already registered with the state.
So let me suggest the idea of having a,
I'm not a proponent of that advertising.
but let me suggest we just separate the topic, and we can talk about if we want a business directory in general that serves a different purpose, not, you know, a valuable purpose, but maybe just distinguish it from the requirement that we're trying to address here. We'll add that as an agenda item for
So
another
we-
discussion.
This is separate from
Yes.
a list of businesses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the board can kind of decide with input whether we want to do something along those lines, and if so, how we want to do that, which will be, you know, will overlap significantly, but will be a different purpose. It will probably have to be maintained differently.
All right.
But it's a worthwhile discussion, and we'll add it to John's to-do list to remind us to
Business directory.
business directory.
Is this practice in process and we just need to make sure it's written down?
Yes.
Is that?
It's already
okay,
being
thank
done.
you. Thank you.
It's required.
Okay.
So,
I feel much better now knowing that this is a separate process from the business
A
director.
full business directory, serving a slightly, a different purpose, but with much of the information overlapping both of those. Are we ready to make a motion to approve this as we've discussed?
I think there's a question.
Was there a question from the public?
Does the public get it?
The public gets to participate because it's not 7 o'clock yet, so we're still on schedule.
Thank you for all the work you did on it. And to Nate's question, I think the reason that this whole started is that we are collecting administrative fee based on state law that says we have to do that to register certain businesses. So it is before the board, we're writing a policy, I want to read it, to ensure that the town properly collects the $10 assumed name filing fee required under Maine law, period. This isn't to address business listings, to who gets licensed, who doesn't. I was looking at this earlier today, and I really have only had a chance to look at it in detail sitting here. And I see several issues, legal probably, contradictions as to our policies and how we do this. Did you have legal look at this? So, and
I
I,
pretty much took this right
is
from by law, state filing a DBA in the clerk's office.
and I don't think you have time for me to go through it, but I just did a check, I scanned it through my AI. And I did that because I was reading through being on planning board, like, there's things in here that it's just not, like, we don't, like, right now, the way we're doing it is we say, certain businesses come to planning board for review. And that, I know, is very gray, we're all struggling with that. And then you file with the clerk. But the law says that you have to file with the clerk. It's not dependent on if you have been approved. They file, and then it is up to them to make sure that they follow ordinances and rules and all of that. So that's one thing. So we can't make them have a review first before they do their filing. And then there's several other things. I just don't think it's ready. It's not ready for us.
Well, let me suggest this, I guess.
I have a list, and
Right. And you're certainly, I think, you have a lot of communication with the business community in general. The board could decide if we want to table this till the next meeting to allow the public a chance to review it, and then we'll vote on it at the next meeting.
It's important that it's kind of in the right order, is what you're saying.
it's not so
that's-
much to the business community. There's several legalities on how it's written. And I think that we as a town should just make sure that it's written properly, that's all.
Are you
It just-
willing to meet with John?
100%.
There you go.
I mean, just like, for instance, at the bottom, first we're saying that all businesses, some are exempt. At the last paragraph, the following are exempt from registration fee, but must still register, and that is Maine corporations, which are registered with the Secretary of State. So that in itself is a contradiction. First, you're saying that they have to register, and yet now they're exempt from registering. So there's
I
a
don't
few
think
of that sort of
I'm not sure that's what it says,
terminology.
but no, I understand.
I just don't think it's ready to go into
Right.
set policy.
So I think rather than debating that, we'll give you the opportunity to talk with John and provide input from yourself and any of the other business people that might be interested. And we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I think a business directory guide is an awesome idea. We were talking about that at our meeting.
You're going to need a bigger pad of paper for your to-do list.
It's actually not, it's not down tonight, believe it or not.
All right. Thank you, Wendy. So the board is in agreement, or we have a consensus to table?
Table it.
Then I don't think we need an official motion. moving on, the fire truck bond signatures. Do you want to just explain?
Yeah,
I think
so-
we're all aware of the background.
Yeah, so we're moving forward with going through the bond process. We're making our first payment of $400,000.
Just to be clear what we're making a payment on.
The chassis.
Right, but I don't want to confuse that. We haven't taken out a bond. We're not making any bond payments. But we're making a payment on the money that's been approved so far for the fire truck.
Right,
We're making the first payment for that.
correct.
Okay.
So there's a remaining $457,000 balance. Given the fact that, one, we don't have that, and two, we don't know whether,
And the plan is to raise that in the next two town meetings.
It is.
Which has been discussed in the past. And that would be when the next the next payment.
so the truck is going to be ready in April of 2027, which will be before the June 27 town meeting. So we will need to bond that, the balance.
The last portion, which.
The last portion.
Which, just to be sure we're saying the same thing, that the town agreed to the anticipatory bond to support the fire truck purchase. The original plan was to save $200,000 over 4 years and pay for it without the bond. But, good news, bad news, the truck is early a couple of months. And the recommendation is to accept it when it's ready and to make the final payment.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, and so at that point, we will have, if the town votes as planned, we'll have, this June have voted 200,000, and we'll be 2 months short of voting the final 200,000.
Yes,
So,
250.
okay, so that's the extent, just want to make sure I'm saying this correctly so I understand. So, we may wind up with a bond for that 200,000 for 2 months.
And what would that cost?
Well, what
Do
cost?
you have an idea what that would cost?
Cost.
Interest on the bond for 2
For the
months.
For the 2 months, to accept the truck early.
Interest on it?
Yeah, just an idea, roughly. Do we have
I
an idea what
could-
that would? Because
For the 2 months.
otherwise, I thought when this was all discussed, they said that they could push it off by a couple of months by using the truck as a demo truck.
Well, they were,
So why do we won't accept the truck until we approve the money? That's why I want to know how much it's going to
Right.
cost.
so let me just be clear, John, this here, we're signing the anticipatory bond.
No, that looks like the payment, the first payment to the
That's
truck.
Oh, I'm sorry,
that's
you're right.
Yeah.
I've confused the two.
Yeah.
So this is the sign off for the first payment on the truck.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's what that is.
yeah.
Yes.
But we also have the bond anticipation paperwork from the attorneys and.
Right, and that's the anticipatory bond
Correct,
that will allow us, if we decide to accept the truck early,
yes.
to advance the money.
Right.
We haven't decided that yet.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry, that's kind of why I started to talk through this slowly, so. I
Yeah, so
confused
this is the
myself.
first payment.
This is the first
And
payment.
the remaining balance is when the truck is delivered, which will be in the spring of
So the
27.
agenda item, though, is for
Is to
the,
approve that check.
No,
No.
it's to do that.
Oh, to do that, the
for the
anticipation.
anticipatory bond.
Which one's in the packet?
Yes.
So we'll take a deep breath for a moment.
It's like 60 pages. It had the entire town meeting warrant attached to it.
Right, be very careful scanning it, and color-coded stickers.
We don't have to sign this, you have to sign.
And this is just paperwork, it does nothing, we don't owe any money, it's just to be ready.
Yes.
Correct.
So what we need is just a motion to approve signing off on the bond.
You're not going to build a fire truck until we can guarantee that we can pay
Yes.
for it.
That's right, yeah.
And this is the follow-up to the article that was approved at town meeting.
Yeah.
So are we all clear on what
I understand.
you understand? You understand? Does the public understand?
So do we,
So this is the legal paperwork in support of the article that was approved at town meeting for the anticipatory bond.
so we need to make a motion
We
to
just,
approve.
I think, need a motion to approve signing the anticipatory bond. Could be as simple as that, right? That's all we need.
I make a motion that the board signs the bond anticipation note to purchase fire truck.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to sign the anticipatory bond paperwork. All in favor? So that makes us more legal. And this is just a supplemental warrant
Yeah.
that the board would need to sign, which is the first down payment. Thank you. MDOT Partnership Initiative.
So there were questions at the last meeting about the agreement. And I was able to get, I think I got them all answered. So I think one of the questions was, can we use other grant funds, or does it have to be town funds? So the non-state share should be raised and appropriated funds. So, timeline, the planning phase might take 12 months from kickoff completion. We could be 3 to 4 months from kickoff when the town requests participation in the study. So if the request goes in February, we're looking at June for a start, with the completed in May somewhere in May or July of 2027. The town would outlay the funds and get reimbursed afterwards. Did say here though, there's periodic reimbursements, milestones along the way. And we do not need the committee. So,
But we need to manage the study.
what's that?
But we do need to manage the study, so we would have to have the town involved in the
Yeah,
process.
so,
Okay.
myself, Public Works, Code Enforcement, a member of the Select Board.
How much was the partnership cost?
$1 million?
The total was 90, does anybody have that still from last meeting by any chance?
90,000 split.
It was around, it was like 94,000 split, so I think the town match was like 47,000.
So we have to pay 100% upfront, and they will reimburse us the 50% at the end of the project.
Correct.
But we can negotiate a payment schedule.
Yep, if you need periodic reimbursements, like 30%, 60%, so,
And this would come from the downtown revitalization?
yes,
Money that's already approved and
correct.
from the past?
John, just to be clear, for the portion that will kick in and the portion they'll kick in, the results from this will be, what would you call it? Recommendations, engineering designs?
Yep. This is a first phase that needs to happen before, because beyond this first phase, any of the projects that are identified that we want to move forward, whether it's a sidewalk, a section of sidewalk, will be a 50% match. But this is the first step that has to happen before we can get any matching funds for projects.
So would we, from this, would we get a list of recommended projects?
Yes.
Would that be done?
And hopefully Long Lake boat ramp could be in there.
And it's going to be, well, possibly, it's going to be transportation related, so I'm not sure that that would fall into
Well,
this, but.
We could probably describe it as an issue relating to congestion in the summer.
Yeah.
On the
See if we
state
can
road.
figure something out to try to get.
But
it
that's,
done.
the purpose of the study would be to make sure we gather all of that together, and then they would help devise a series of recommendations, which we might think of as the boat launch, the sidewalks, the parking lots.
And where would this start? Would this, I mean, right downtown, or would it start, would we be able to include where the, the farmer's market used to be up there, that area too, to try to come up with some ideas to utilize that area too?
Well, I think part of it will be the scope of, which I can't recall what the initial definition was, but I think it went from Crystal Lake Park. I thought down to that point.
It would be, the focus of it would be Main Street, and probably Front Street as well. They're both state roads within the village area.
So how is this sound similar to engineering studies that we've done just a couple of years ago that presented us with multiple projects that we could move forward on?
We can't get 50% matching for projects with the Ray Pierce fund. This opens up the door for us for 50% match on the projects. So we have to go through this hoop first before being able to get that.
Qualify for matching grants from the state?
And I don't think the Wright Pierce one included, maybe I'm assuming too much, but designs that would alleviate, that would give us the solution, that would tell us what the solutions are for traffic and parking and congestion.
Yeah, DOT did, I did send them that, they did look it over, and they said that there was not a lot of transportation focus in it, so.
Okay.
So we need to make a motion to approve this?
Yeah, let me think about this for a second. So on the first item I see here is a request to participate. What would be the form of the motion that we're making if we want to participate in this? Is that what we're doing? Okay.
We don't have to say anything about funding at the moment, or do we need to?
I can tell you the amount, if that's.
No, but I mean, do we need to say that our plan is to fund it from the, what's it called, the downtown
Yeah, that-
revitalization fund, or?
Specify where we're
Yeah.
getting the funds from.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it will be a motion to participate in the Maine Department of Transportation
Partnership initiative.
initiative.
I'll give you the exact amount.
There was questions from the audience.
Okay. I think once we're sort of clear on what we're going to be making a motion on.
We don't know an exact number either, do we? So I don't think we need to say an exact number.
No, there
We just-
wasn't. There was a
right?
number.
There was a number.
Yep. Current proposal, 93,400, split with the town to pay 46,700. The town typically pays all invoices, 93,400, and seeks reimbursement from the state share at the end of the study.
Can we cover that?
We should, we've got.
220.
Okay.
Well, some-
Just over
I think
200, 215.
We've taken, I think some has come out of that account for
Right.
engineering for Long Lake, but we have enough to cover that.
Okay.
So we're clear we would be making motion to participate in this study. We have the funds available to pay $93,000, half of which will be reimbursed from the state. So I think we're eventually. So questions from the public? Everybody understand what we're voting on?
Yes.
If so, if there's no more questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the request to participate in the Maine Department of Transportation study with $93,000,
400.
93,400 to be used from the Village Improvement Reserve, half of which will be reimbursed by the state.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been moved, made, and seconded.
You said it perfect.
All in favor? Well, I figured that would move things along. if I could do this. Okay, so John, we're ready to go. It sounds like between now and the next meeting, we should formulate we'll call it a steering committee. And we can decide how many people should be involved, what the public's participation should be in that process, which I'm sure we'll be asked about.
Part of that is public involvement.
Right, I think it doesn't mention any participation by the public in the steering committee, but that might be something we might want to consider. Moving along, new business, our investment update we've covered previously. Next item, technology update. This, I think, is just informational so that the board understands one of the projects that's going on.
Yep. So we have noticed that that there's some issues with our email because it goes through our website, the company that manages our website, Bluehost. So some emails are getting caught up there and not getting delivered. So I met with our IT coordinator, and his recommendation is to move away from having things go through Bluehost, which would involve the need for having Microsoft Office 365 accounts for all email users. The thin version, I believe, is around $8 a month, and the more robust version, I think, is $16 a month. So not all users would need the full subscription. This is something that was presented as part of the increase in licensing and lease fees for the administration budget. So it's the cost for it has already been built into the budget, which is about $2,000. And so pending on, there's currently 19, as of now, have 19 users of Microsoft Office 365. So it's a matter of adding some of the additional staff, boards, and committees that don't have it. So pending budget approval, it would be something that would be getting rolled out after the new budget year.
So we're sort of forced to migrate to a better technology. One we have is becoming reliable. There is, I guess, one of the things that it's surfaced is that we will exercise a little more management over documents, and it will also involve some education, because it will extend to any committees appointed by the board. So the goal is any documentation that's created by appointed committees will be under the management of the town, which it's our responsibility to do anyways, but this will give us a better vehicle. And there's a training session?
Yep, so there's a training session. It's open to all boards, committees, and town employees next Wednesday night, the 18th at 5 o'clock here. So if anybody's interested in attending, GP Cog is going to be doing it. It's an hour and a half long. And there'll be more training. I mean, as you know, when we get to the point where the budget's passed and we're starting to roll out again, there'll be obviously additional training.
So for individuals who have trouble getting at the documents, who should they contact?
Trouble getting to,
Like right now, I can't open attachments.
I can't open anything either.
really?
The packet for the select board meeting, I can't open them.
I can't open them, I never can.
It opens on my
You
laptop.
never can?
On your
That's
phone.
why I grab my book.
So the question is, who should people who have difficulty contact?
Catherine, I guess, but
Okay.
I need to pass it to Chris, I can't.
So they should simply let you know if they're having a problem, and then what their ID is, and then you can help them resolve any issues they have. And we guarantee 24 hours service turnaround, right? first line of defense. So if you haven't gotten requests or questions yet, you will before the night is over after the meeting, so just to warn you. And this is intended to not be a forced march. I mean, I guess the two committees we have are the Comprehensive Planning Committee and the Budget Committee and the Educational Options Committee. And the intent is to have all of those moved into the managed environment for document storage. Catherine is the contact point if you have any questions. Or the committee chair if the committee has any problems in general. Okay? Have a question from the public?
Is this also for boards, planning board and appeals board as well?
So-
You didn't mention that, but I mean, we're all kind of intermingled anyways.
Correct.
And
So-
any town email.
Any town email, so when we're uploaded our documents for site plan reviews and things, right now we're going through the web host, but those will all be part of 365, all of that will be integrated and
Yes.
things will be saved over there. So it's not just committees, it's boards as well.
We're getting away from,
It's staff, boards, and committees appointed through the town.
Great.
It'll presumably be a well-managed environment with all the legal requirements for document retention and organized in a way that the right permissions are given. But is there a schedule, or have the boards, where are we in moving everybody?
Well, the comprehensive plan, planning committee, your account's set up.
We got a few, troubleshooting a few.
But because of budgetary reasons, we can't move forward until
Okay.
next, I can't pull money out
And
of
the
this
budget
year's
committee?
Budget committee would include it, yeah.
So they're all moved, or?
No,
Okay.
no, unfortunately, we're having to use their personal email address because we've had so many issues with
Okay.
going through so we're just gonna have to get by with what we have until July when we get the new budget, so.
Okay. So the idea is it's not a forced march, that we're trying to be sure we don't impact the committees, however they were organized and whatever technology that they were using. We're trying to not disrupt their achieving whatever their goals are. But it sounds like by July we'll be done, or we'll set that as a target.
Yeah.
Okay. The Educational Options Committee is?
We use personal emails.
Right, so we'll have to decide probably once there's a transition from the Educational Options Committee to something more with a longer extended life. That would probably be a good point in time to make that transition. Okay. Any questions from the board? Everybody's got Catherine's number. Thank you. I think, it's one of those situations where it can be somewhat painful, but there are very good reasons for doing it. And John I think as long as one of your goals is to have the necessary support for anybody that needs it during the process, we'll make it as painless as possible. Thank you. Next item is the capital improvement plan update.
Yep. So in another memo in your packets, I included some of the steps of where we're at with the process of the capital improvement plan. So as you know, in the inventory phase has been done, and the needs have been plugged into a spreadsheet that totals $12 million. Funding, we're currently evaluating a funding plan for the projects based on funding available funds. That is something that probably, I think, the next select board meeting, I should be able to have a draft of where we're at with kind of a funding plan. Prioritization is going to be occurring to help try and level out the spending over the next 5 years, just to I put just for illustrative purposes in here, and that number actually has changed since I've gone in and started tweaking the plan anyway. You know, initially, we had this $4.3 million request for next fiscal year as the first year of the 5-year plan. Clearly, that's not going to work as far as funding goes, so, you know, and again, you know, looking further down at fiscal year 28, 29, I had only $930,000 worth of requests. So there's going to have to be some prioritization done on how we're going to, you know, spread these costs out over the next 5 years so that it's a little bit more even and that there's not a spike in taxes to try and cover these costs. So the plan moving forward is to request a workshop with the select board to evaluate priorities in the plan, schedule a public hearing, provide some educational materials, and possibly even get some polling and survey data in the process. I also just threw a little thing in here about the concept of reserve accounts, something to consider, nothing that I'm pushing for, but consideration could be given to having some of the capital improvement funds set aside in reserve accounts for specific purposes, such as facilities, training, repair and maintenance, vehicles, that sort of thing. Some towns do, so.
Can we also work with Daryl to have an idea when there's different grants and funding opportunities out there that might be able to help some of these and sort of align things that way as well?
Yeah, so for example, I mentioned about this new grant that's coming out to do with stormwater drainage and crossings and culverts. Because that funding will be released in 2027, I think, I'm trying to remember off the top of my head.
I think that's correct, yeah.
The timing, so like for example, Summit Hill, I know that that project needs to be done, but I placed that project in the year that grant funding would be available should we get it. So, so some of it is trying to match up the timeline with when certain grants might be available.
You said next select board meeting, we might get a further update. We haven't seen any list of the needs to date, you know, the projects and needs. So.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll see that, the list that equals $12 million?
Yes, I can provide that if you want, the full plan, or I think the next step that we talked about was just showing you the overall costs over the period of the next 5 years and how the funding would cover it and what your capital account balances would be looking like over the next 5 years.
I think you're looking for the list of the requests.
Yeah, how do we get to a 5-year list of needs of $12 million?
So let me just clarify. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Nate is requesting that we've got a list of requests. We haven't yet prioritized them using some criteria, which would be one way to push some of them beyond the 5 years if we needed to. So I think you said next meeting we should have a first pass at a funding plan, which would identify the sources that we think we can draw our funds from. It sounds like it would be good to at least see the list that we will then be prioritizing. If that's in a form. Do you know how many requests are on the list?
It's not.
Is the streams and crossings part of this list?
So this includes roads, so some of it's stuff that you've already been appropriating to capital in the past. It's just plugging the roads into this capital improvement plan. So it's roads, culverts, vehicles, facilities.
We typically spend around maybe like $900,000 a year on capital on a regular basis, so.
You'll see in the worksheet I'll give you, you'll see that I'm trying to keep it level with what you've already been spending in capital per year anyway. So.
But the list would be good to have because the some of this is new equipment that they're looking for, right? This is just not replacement of equipment that we have.
Some of it, there might be some things in there that are new, but I think the majority of it is replacement.
So it sounds like the board would maybe be comfortable with seeing the list. Which then, with some information regarding funding, we would then, correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea would be to set up a workshop for the board where we talk about how to prioritize the requests, take a look at the rationale behind them, and be able to say whether they're, high priority, should be done right away, low priority, pushed off to future years. But that's something that we'll do in a workshop. So I think, I made a list of the workshops that we're going to have to be doing over the next month or two. So
Workshops and public hearings.
I'm thinking that probably if we have the preliminary list, and your first suggestions as to where the funding is going to come from, talk about that in the next meeting, and then be able to talk about scheduling the workshop to then scrutinize the requests and prioritize them to see whether they'll make the list, and if they will, where they should fit in relative to other requests. And we could also probably provide the board some preliminary suggestions on the criteria to be used that we think. So the three pieces of this workshop would be the list of requests, the funding sources where, we think the funds will come from, and then some suggested criteria as to how we're going to make trade-offs as to whether they need to be done, and if so, do they need to be done in year one versus year five.
Like a prioritization scoring matrix type of thing would be helpful, yeah.
And then it sounds like in the February meeting, we should plan to schedule the workshop to then do the hard part, which will be to prioritize and try and schedule those that we think have sufficient rationale. That workshop would have to come prior to the budget committee seeing the capital recommendations for next year.
Well, yes, and
Okay.
that we can push the capital up, because they're going to be meeting up to, I think, March 16th, when they're meeting again. Well, that should work out timing. Yes.
So maybe give the board some food for thought. We may have to substitute a public workshop for a select board meeting in the next month or two,
if you want to.
if we want to stay with Thursday schedules, given everything else that's going on.
So you mean take the select board meeting and turn it into a public meeting?
Do
A
it.
workshop.
Yes.
Schedule it as a public workshop rather than a select board.
And then that way, at their last meeting on March 16th, they can cover the capital.
So let me just remind the board, we have the capital plan. We're on a timeline for that. We committed to having a public safety public hearing regarding law enforcement, fire and rescue, because there's so many issues, I think, that the board needs to talk through. The project we just started, village improvement, there's a public hearing, but that won't be for a while. It doesn't have to be at the beginning, it can be
Yeah, they won't even
after
be,
some more extent, okay.
they won't be
Okay.
starting it until, it'll be a few
Okay.
months before. Yeah.
And then we have to have a public hearing for the budget.
Good. Capital plan? No?
Budget,
Okay.
so the FY '27 budget. So after the budget committee is done, and after the board and the budget committee get together, prior to the articles that we have to write up. So that would be the latter part of March. So I think, just sort of to make the board aware, we'll have to have John try and maybe put together a list of. Is there a possibility we're going to have an educational options public hearing?
Probably not
Okay.
until, not in March.
Not in March?
No.
Okay. Okay, so capital plan. That was John's update to us on where it is, what's going to happen next. kind of the coming attractions. So we'll allow sufficient time, I think, at the next board meeting to be sure we can talk about funding and we can talk about a preliminary look at the requests. Any other questions from the board? I'm afraid to look out here. Any questions from the public? So still a lot of work to be done, but we're making progress, and hopefully in the next month or two, all the pieces will come together. 5K event permit. This is a motion to approve an event permit.
I have a question on it. I noticed that under services requested, they're requesting the sheriff's department to close the road. Who is paying for that?
They are.
They are? Okay, because it just says services requested. So, under sheriff department, I just want to make sure they're not expecting us to.
We don't have.
The fire department closed the road for them last year.
Yeah, I would say it's other races, it's been the fire department that closes the roads and not the sheriff.
Well, do you want me to reach out to them and offer the fire department as a service?
That was going to be a question, is that we have other 5Ks and how much can we be asking the fire department to be doing?
Actually, no. I think that they should pay for private detail. We get nothing from the Tucker House. We don't get no taxes. We get nothing.
Right, they're the Bridgeton Tucker House.
They're in Bridgeton. So they're more than welcome to have their race in town, but any services that they need, any roads shut down or anything like that, they need to. And they also need to provide insurance because they will be using our parking lot at the post office, just a town parking lot. So they'll also need to report, just like any other nonprofit that's using any facilities in town.
And I'll make sure I let them know that we're not providing the sheriff's coverage.
Right.
Perfect. Then I make a motion to accept the event permit for the 4th annual 5K race for recovery.
I just have a question.
So,
The permit does specifically say to attach a copy of your insurance certificate naming the town as insured. Is
We
that?
have one, it just isn't in the physical.
Okay.
All right.
oh, you have one, okay.
Thank you.
So let me be clear, though, before you make your motion. There's the section called services required.
It says they're requiring the sheriff or road
Well,
closure.
yeah, so it asks sheriff, fire department, ambulance, and it specifies what it thinks it needs some more. And the only qualification at the end of that section is that they agree to clean and restore any property to its original condition. So there's nothing that indicates reimbursement for the services used. And I think I heard that was a concern.
Well, I don't think the sheriff department closes roads for anyone. It's always, for any of the events, it's always been the fire department for other 5Ks or for Christmas and Harrison Parade. So,
So do we want to change this?
the usual typical 5K route.
Do we, just so we're clear?
Yeah, this doesn't, it just says,
Yeah.
please list your requests for
Yeah.
assistance with crowd
And say,
control.
yeah.
You said it sent to Dana too.
What's that?
Dana used to get copies and then you would have to go through them whether or not they were going to close down the road or not.
Do we charge?
Well, so I think I'm hearing two things. One I'm hearing is, do we want to add something, do we actually want to change the application that has to do with reimbursement for services?
Well, there is an option for us to approve with additional conditions.
Right.
Yep.
Do you think that's sufficient? So the condition would be,
They need to provide their own
Reimbursement.
services for road closures, and it could be reimbursement, I guess, to the fire department, the Jews. the fire department's willing to do that.
The date of the event's not till June 29th. Do you want me to hold on to this and look into, and check with them and make sure that they're not expecting us to provide sheriff's coverage? And if they want fire department, I mean, I can let it, I think it would be fair to reap the reimbursement from the fire department costs. They're gonna use fire department to do
So
roads.
it sounds like what I'm hearing is that we could make motion to table this or postpone this until the next meeting. Is 2 weeks enough? And give you some direction as to, ask a few questions as to how we want to handle the services requested and any reimbursement.
I support that.
So, John, do you have enough from us to ask some questions? Anything else from the board?
I just have a question. Do we charge Christmas in Harrison?
Well, I don't think, typically, I don't think we're charged for these kinds of services for
No,
events.
but I mean, that's a town event, so.
Nonprofit that directly supports the town, provides.
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
just don't want to,
All right, I think, John, the question for you probably is regarding, do we start doing this for nonprofit events? If they request, say, public safety services, does the town absorb that cost, or do we have the sponsors absorb the cost?
yeah, ask Dina how much it costs to
No.
I mean, if there were 6 guys for 2 hours, it's gonna cost $250 or something.
Yeah.
Payroll.
So I would suggest we'll let John gather some information.
get some information.
I'm really crowd out there tonight. Yeah. So, John, you'll gather some information, and then we'll have put this on the agenda for the next meeting.
Yep.
So I would entertain a motion to postpone discussion on this item until the next meeting in February, which is, I don't even know where I am.
February
12th, 14th, 26th, February 26th meeting.
So,
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded to put this on the agenda for the 26th. All in favor? 5-0. We're not going to make it. Next item is the FY24 fund transfer.
Okay, another memo in your packets. So as you know, the 23 and 24 audits have been completed. It was determined in the FY24 audit that the general fund or undesignated fund balance is $4,727,136. So with our new policy, it states that we want to try and have 4 months of municipal operating expenses, so that would mean maintaining a balance of $3,333,333. So we would be able, and also factoring in the monies that were spent out of the undesignated fund from fiscal year '25 puts us at the ability to transfer $1.3 million to capital. That will put our capital balance at $2,319,475.42, with $225,000 of it committed to downtown revitalization.
So a little over 2 million.
So the recommendation is the transfer of the $1.3 million from undesignated to capital, which, if doing it tonight, helps him in terms of working out the funding plans for the capital plan.
Gives me a little bit more of a real number to work with.
Yeah.
But also keep in mind, when the FY25 audit is done this spring, hopefully soon, there's likely going to be some funds that we can transfer, again, do a transfer out
Yep.
of the unassigned fund into capital. I don't want to take a
So-
guess on exactly how
Sure,
much,
sure.
how much exactly that will be, but that will, hopefully, I anticipate there being more funds that can be transferred from unassigned funds to capital.
Okay.
That
So,
will give us a little bit.
we talked about the funding plan, we'll talk a little bit about whether we estimate what that'll be for planning purposes for our discussion. So we'll have a starting capital reserve amount that will be factored into whatever kind of spending plan we devise. So motion tonight is to transfer the $1,300,000 from undesignated to capital reserve. Any questions? No more questions for, no? No questions?
I'll make a motion that we transfer $1,300,000 from the general fund to capital reserve.
Second?
Motion's been made and seconded to transfer $1,300,000 from undesignated to capital reserve. All in favor? Help you with your planning. Next item is the fees update.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I make a motion that we push the fees update till next meeting?
you certainly can.
Unless there's something that we need to do.
I think that's a wise motion. Does anyone have any specific questions they wanted to leave with John?
There was one typo in the pallet section. It says above 2 pallets is 10 cents a pound.
Yeah, that was discussed.
But if we do increase the pound cost to 20 cents a pound, I would suspect that would also be 20 cents a pound.
So
I expect a lot of conversation around this in general.
Yeah, me too.
Nate, did you say the 3 or more pallets? That's the one that's supposed to be 20 cents?
Well,
Is that right?
general demolition is proposed to be 20 cents a pound, so
Okay,
I would expect that would fall under the general demolition
Okay.
fee. If we do choose to increase it to 20 cents a pound.
So I think I heard a motion to postpone, to reschedule this for the February 26th meeting.
Yes.
On the assumption that we'll be able to fit it into the schedule on the February 26th meeting. The motion's been made to reschedule this.
Second it.
Motion's been made and seconded to reschedule it for the February 26th meeting. All in favor? 5-0.
One question for that meeting, our goal is to approve these new fees, is that correct?
Or make revisions to that one?
Yes.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
make
Yep.
revisions.
Okay.
Yes, certainly discuss, but approve the fee schedule.
Okay.
That would be the objective, yep.
Yep.
Next item is the stream crossings project bid. We have some water here if somebody needs it.
Okay, stream crossings bid. So as you know, we've got 500,000 grant funds to go towards this project. This has been an ongoing project between engineering and the grant side of things, working with Lake Regions Environmental. We requested bids for the actual project work, which would take place in construction year 26, which is obviously coming up this summer. Or I believe it's actually technically early fall, I think, is when it's done. But we got a total of 8 bids. The engineering firm, Irigo Engineering, had handled doing some reference checks and recommendations on a company, Starrett Snow and Landscaping Services. who was the lowest bidder at $835,314.74. The Public Works Director has an alternate recommendation based on, we're actually a reference of the individual who's done work for us before. He's also done some stream crossing works and culvert projects as well in the area, and has the recommendation of the Public Works Director due to his equipment. So we're kind of in between two. I guess maybe what I would recommend is maybe we narrow it down to 3 candidates, and I can do a little bit more investigating into what might be the best option, rather than be pitted between the two different vendors, because I'm getting 2 conflicting recommendations, so.
Okay.
I mean, the recommendations from the engineering firm are, you know, he did check references, you know, they're good to work with, they do excellent work, and there's a list here of different stream crossings that they've done, but the concern is that they would be renting equipment as opposed to, you know, a company that has their own equipment for the job, and so.
So, John, I'm hearing that, I think what you'd like is some guidance from the board, and then to come back at a later date with a specific recommendation. Was the guidance to, are you, I want to make sure I heard you correctly, so do you think there's 3 candidates from which?
I would recommend narrowing it down to the 3 lowest bidders, which would include the one that's recommended by the Public Works Director,
Okay.
the one that is recommended by the engineering firm, and then also maybe I can do a little looking into the Jake Dawson's excavation utility service, since they're right in the middle between the 2 bids.
You know, the value difference between the lowest and the one recommended by Jack's only $45,000 on an $850,000 project, so very close to the numbers.
Yep.
Can we get their information? Did they give their bid package? Did they give us any information of expertise? I see the one for Baldwin here, but
Yeah,
Yeah, the bid responses, you mean?
the bid responses with all that.
And I included them.
So they're,
okay, so they're in the digital packets,
Yeah.
but what we'll do is,
We'll make
I
sure
will
you have
include
access.
those for the actual bids of those 2. That way we don't have to, because with 8 of them, that would have been a huge amount of material. So we'll narrow it down to the 3 for the, okay.
I never want a copy of
From
them.
what I
so the board members can get access to the material however they need it, and you'll be ready to either respond to questions or to get more information. And this will all come back in a couple of weeks with a more specific recommendation. I just had 2 quick questions. I think at the last meeting we talked about whether this would be designed for the state to maintain or for us. I don't know if that was resolved.
So it would be, the cost I know would be significantly more than
Right.
what
So
the
are
bid
we,
cost
is a
is.
recommendation at this point that we don't design it for the state to maintain it?
That would be the recommendation. That's
Okay.
what was recommended by
So-
the engineering firm as well
Okay.
as LEA. Just given the amount of funds that we have have $500,000 for the project. It doesn't
So
sound
you have
like
that
we're able to
information.
get more.
You have that
so-
information if anybody needs it about that distinction. Any other question?
And there's no guarantee that the state takes it over.
Understood. The only other question I have is in relation to the funding. So what fund, somewhere $800,000 to $900,000 has to be approved. We have to accept grants that will cover $600,000 or $500,000? Okay. So somewhere else, the difference then, we have to approve to spend out of town funds?
Yep.
$381,700.
Is that a town meeting article?
Be a town meeting article. Well, I think the idea is that this is in the capital plan.
Yep.
So pending June
Yep.
town meeting, we'll hopefully get some funds to put into capital
Yep.
to help expense out
Yep.
some of the
So-
projects, which
so-
this is one of.
So we'll be awarding a bid contingent on town meeting approval?
Correct.
Yeah, hopefully at the next meeting. Sound okay? Good. Did we officially move that yet, or do I need a motion?
Make a motion, we move it to the February 26th meeting.
Second.
Second, motion's made and second to move to the February 26th meeting. All in favor? 5-0. And last item, under new business is comprehensive plan committee appointment. You don't know.
Scott standing up.
I guess it'll be a verbal recommendation?
We've received resignation from one of the members, Dr. Marsters. So we have two alternates. The first one will apply to be a committee member within Connie and Allen, so we recommend that she be moved to the position for.
So we have, I don't know if you can enlighten me, do we have to approve the resignation?
Yeah, you accept the resignation.
Accept the resignation and then approve the new committee member. So we'll do 2 quick steps. I don't know, unless the board has more questions for the chair. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the resignation.
So moved.
Second.
Second, give the resignation of,
Gina Marsters.
motion's been made and seconded. All in favor to accept? 5-0. And we have a motion to appoint Connie Allen to fill the vacant comprehensive planning committee.
So moved.
Motion's been made, second? Seconded, did somebody second it?
I second.
Did you get that over there? So motion's been made. Hey,
Sorry, I was
Motion's
asking
been made and
Kristen if
second.
we need anything in writing.
motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
I think
5-0.
there we go.
Okay, now you can ask your question.
Do you have it in writing from her? Scott has it. You can, that's
I'll
all.
forward it to you.
Thank you. Other business, we have no miscellaneous items under other business. We have select board items, which are essentially our updates from liaison members. The first one is the Harrison Educational Options Committee.
So as most of you know, we had our little public forum on January 30th. We had a small turnout, but it was recorded. So for those of you at home, please feel free to go to Lake Region TV and see the recording. The presentation is on the website. We had some great questions. We have a lot to learn. This past week, Amy and I met with the proposed educational consultant, Connie, and I forgot her last name. She's going to join us at our next meeting on Monday, February 23rd at the United Parish Church at 4:30. In the meantime, we do have this petition that we would like any voting members of Harrison to sign. What the petition does is it gives the committee the understanding that we are interested in moving forward with, I'm going to just say, spending money on this process, that it is worth our time and money to find out if Harrison has other options other than just going along with the MSAD 17 proposal for this combined elementary school. So anybody here who hasn't signed it yet, please, come on up after. And I look forward to our February 23rd meeting. Connie is going to give us a written document of what she would provide. I forget what it's called, like a statement of work kind of document. I know how much she charges, we know how much we have, so we'll try to work out with her what she can do for us and kind of filling in the gaps of information that we know we have still.
Okay, and that statement of work would come to the board for approval to dispense or authorize the spending of the budgeted money.
There you go, sure.
Just to be clear, the petition requires a certain number of signatures, and the petition is to put an article.
Do you want to read it?
Go ahead. Yeah, I think you should.
The petition is, "We, the undersigned voters of the town of Harrison, Maine, qualified to vote in town affairs, hereby petition the Harrison Board of Selectmen to initiate the process to withdraw from MSAD 17 in accordance with Title 20 AMRS 1466, withdrawal of a single municipality from a Maine school administrative district." So this is alerting the Board of Selectmen that we wish to begin the process of withdrawal, which doesn't mean we will withdraw, that we need to gather information in order to determine whether we officially plan to withdraw. Am I saying it right?
And yes, and before that article would be voted on by the town, we'll have a feasibility study from the consultant as to how practical the options that you've generally identified up to this point.
And another public forum
And
to
another
present
public forum.
those prior to an official vote.
Thank you.
Yes.
Where are you with signatures? How many do we need?
Don't look at mine.
Oh, do you know how many total there are?
I feel like it was under,
133, I think.
oh no, the Amy.
How many do we
Oh,
have?
that she
I
has?
feel like it was under 20.
It was like 18, I think.
Yeah, not many.
Well, we do.
The petition is at the town office, so you can come in and sign at any time, but I do have one here that you can sign.
Is there a deadline?
Oh.
No, yeah, the deadline is until we get the 133 signatures, 150.
So will there be an article explaining this in the newsletter this week?
In the newsletter, that's a great idea. I hope you all read the article in the newspaper, because I thought that was
Very-
well written.
With you on the front page.
I was on the front page, that's right. Yes, Catherine, I will put a blurb, I'll give you, or is it too late?
I can do, did Amy tell you
Too
the
late for
answer from the lawyer?
Tomorrow?
It's just a reminder that the petition's at the town office to be signed, that's all we need.
I don't think that we really should be having it at the clerk's office
What do you
because
think?
we're involved with election process. It should be taken out and,
Uh-huh.
Circulated around.
yeah,
Outside of the
and we did
front
get
house.
I just don't know.
All right.
Is that what the
the email
attorney
from
said?
the legal sounded like we really shouldn't be.
Okay.
Shouldn't have it here?
I reached out to Dan,
Okay,
provided them with info from him.
okay.
Okay?
So someone could come to the town office and ask, where is the petition, and you could tell them.
Somebody suggested the library.
Or the library?
Yes.
Okay, we can ask the library too.
OMT, after a few hours.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm sorry, yeah, that.
Update on comprehensive plan.
Yes, the comprehensive plan, we've been meeting every other week. GP COG has been there in person with us. We are on our third revision of the questionnaire questions. It will be somewhat short, I think it's, 38 questions?
35 maybe.
Somewhere in that ballpark. So we're still working to get all that finalized. Right now, we've breaking into groups to redline the 2009 comprehensive plan to really say, hey, this is what we like about what was written, or we'd like to have a lot more detail. So working through to give GP COG an idea of what detail level we want in there. And then we are working through trying to push the first public participation program in April.
Right. April 11th, I think, is your tentative.
Yeah.
At some point further down the line, we'll have to determine, the capital plan schedule is a little bit ahead, I think, of the comprehensive planning committee. And somewhere along the line, maybe iteration number 2 of the capital plan, some of the comprehensive planning committee results of projections, capacity, future capacity, we would need to revisit the capital plan, but I think, that could be iteration 2, because I don't think I don't think you'll be getting to those kinds of planning for the future discussions.
Yeah, probably not into
Yeah.
that level of detail.
Okay. Version 2 of the capital plan. So far, so good?
Yep, and if I may, Chairperson, allow them to
Mr.
speak.
Yes.
Chair,
Go ahead.
there was mention earlier tonight about, I believe along the lines of capital improvement plan, doing some sort of community outreach, surveying, that sort of thing. Obviously, we want to get the attention of as many residents as we can. We're going to try to aim for 20%. So if we were to combine that into our current survey, I think would be the best use of time and attention. So,
Sounds good.
Prevent
Yes.
survey fatigue too.
Yep.
One just quick thing, I was there last night, John was there. In regards to, they had a, GP Cogs did a thing on affordable housing. And there is 2 laws that are gonna really affect us. One right now is already affecting us, LD 2003, but LD 1706. Both of them about affordable housing. And the issue with LD 1706, as John and everybody else heard, was that they have removed the language for affordable housing for units. It used to have, they could not be short-term rentals, but they have removed that wording. And so I think this town, I heard that GB Cogs has a committee and they're asking the towns to, and are you gonna get on that committee or are you going to? I think we should ask John to look into something so that we draft something that we can send to legislators saying that as LD 1706 is written right now, we do not approve of it because it's really going to affect us. And other towns are on board right now too because of wording.
Okay. So it sounds like something we need to discuss about whether the board should prepare an opinion.
Yes.
Yeah, and it is going to vote, there was a hearing on it.
There's a hearing coming
on
up.
the 17th.
Yes.
It's been confirmed today by GP Cog. I know the code enforcement officer seems very interested in
Yes.
opinionated about LD 1829. So hopefully I can try and connect him with GP Cog on being able to be involved with representing us with that law.
So it sounds like another to-do here. That next meeting, we'll discuss putting, whether the board should put together a consensus as to whether we're in favor or not in favor of.
So, just to clarify, LD 1829 has passed. It is getting implemented in the town council and city council governments.
Yep.
This July. It will be coming for us in 2027. What's being discussed right now in the legislature is the Fix-It bill, which is LD, I can't remember.
Okay.
But that's the one that would amend some of the concerns.
And that's what we're in favor of.
Right, so.
And that's what other towns have expressed a
Yes.
board opinion on, so we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting. Any other items? No, if not, next item is executive sessions, which we discussed with no new information. I'll entertain a motion to postpone that to the next meeting.
Oh, wait a minute, John has something.
Sorry, can we go back to other business? Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry,
One
yeah.
small thing, this came to my desk at like 5:30, but it's in regards to 14 Main Street. In that sale progressing, there is a release agreement that needs signatures from the select board, and they have a letter that was drafted by the attorney that's going to the registry of, for closing, to do with closing information and.
So it's something we need to sign?
Yeah, so if you just want to look the letter over real quick,
Okay.
it explains and that.
And we are moving toward a fairly quick reimbursement of town funds.
Yes, so the funds will be held in an escrow until the sale and everything's all complete, so.
All right,
And then we'll be, yeah.
good. Yeah, good,
Sorry to add one more thing.
thank you. Anything else? No? So I just need a motion to postpone the executive session until the next meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second, it's been moved and seconded, we postpone the next meeting, all in favor? 5-0. That brings us to adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor? We're adjourned at 8:07.